Good morning. I'm glad to have you all, and I'd like to have discussions at the end of my lecture if you have any question. This will be kind of informal discussions, and I will try to give you some idea what's happening in the world and what we should do, how could we save our own species. So if you have any question, you can raise your hand, we'll go slow and discuss about this. This is our old main of the West Texas A&M University. West Texas A&M is the biggest university system in the world in terms of faculty and number of students and staff. We have 9 branches. So with that, I like the card, the digital card that you all produced. It's very nice. And welcoming you all to my lecture on deforestation, plastic pollution, and global warming, and a little bit idea about biotechnology, how we can resolve the issue as a solution. I established the Center of Advanced Study in Aerobiology at our Department of Life, Art, and Environmental Sciences at West Texas A&M University. I am dedicating my lecture to my mentors. I'm fortunate to have Professor A. Chatterjee here. Sir, would you mind to stand? So that's Professor Chatterjee, who basically inspired me in the research and kindly gave me a place in his reputed lab. And so I got my first PhD with him. And as I was discussing our honorable director, that about Professor A.K. Sharma needs no introduction. Padma Bhushan and our kind of father figure in the chromosome research in India. They are so reputed all over the world. When I went for job interview at Birla College of Medicine, the dean just looked at his recommendation when he's writing that Dr. Nabarun Ghosh is my student, and he stopped looking at anything else. He said, well, I don't have to ask anything because you came from the world-reputed Center of Advanced Study in Cell and Chromosome Research. And then he started talking about his own research. The duration of my interview was 5 minutes, but he went on talking for 45 minutes. And then at one point I asked, how do you know Professor Sharma? And he replied, when Professor Sharma and Professor Archana Sharma were there in the United States, he was their postdoc. So the other one without whom my education would not be completed in United States, Professor Don Smith, I have connection with him, and Dr. Donovan here, Dr. Smith, and I'm receiving the degree at University of North Texas, and all of our research group and professors from Center of Advanced Studies. With that, I'll proceed now. Our air quality project, which have been running for the last 22 years, funded by many medical grants, and produced many of the very good students, including one who came from Nigeria, and she struggled a lot. Bola. She not only survived over there, she did great, and after her PhD, she is serving to FDA, Food and Drug Administration of United States. There are many other students, as you know, the present lab of mine. I see one of my students is sitting over here, Dr. Pravir Banerjee, his picture will come, and he has done good research in air pollution in PM 2.5. We published 2 books, What's in Your Air, and also another from New York on allergy and asthma. I presented our research all over the world, in London, in Dubai. I don't have the picture in Saudi Arabia, 2019, that was the presentation 2 years back. After that, we could not have for a long time. In China, in Calcutta, here, international conference, and also World Allergy Organization in Bangkok and many others. Presently, we cover the major issues in climatic conditions, but I'm going to focus and talk more about that. And this is my recent picture from TV, US TV and CBS and ABC. I come over there and quite a few times interviewed and talk more about the present problem in the climatic conditions. I will start with a very basic experiment because most of you are students. Okay, so no talking please, কথা বলো না, তাহলে কিন্তু আমি ওখানেও স্টুডেন্টদের প্রশ্ন করি, আমি তাদের কিচ্ছু বলি না, বকি না, আমি বলি তুমি এখানে এসে লেকচার দাও, আমি শুনবো, ঠিক আছে? So what I'm trying to focus here, Joseph Priestley's experiment, very simple one, and you will realize why that is so important. As you can see, with a green plant and a mouse without the green plant, so you can see the mouse surviving well in the real life situation, surviving well with the green plant. It died without the supply of the green plant. Why is that? Anybody can tell, any of the students, please? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Without oxygen, the mouse cannot breathe. This is why it died.
So who is giving the oxygen?
Sir, the plant.
The plant. Okay. Very good, very good. Yes. The plant is giving the oxygen. It's a very simple experiment. The green plants, they are providing us with oxygen. I see some of you are holding, and that's great that BITM has organized this distribution of saplings. Okay, that's a great, great asset for our own survival. When I'll go further, I'll explain that. So this picture, that's normally, as you know, in high school biology or very lower level, what we call freshman biology class, we teach about this experiment. 1995, when I was teaching at the University of North Texas, one student, she asked me a very interesting question. Dr. Ghosh, what will happen if this mouse is very hungry and start eating the whole plant after it eats away?
Same problem.
You understand, you know what will happen, okay? And that's what exactly the situation is happening in the present day world. We are behaving just like the hungry mouse. We are eating away the plant, and we are bringing our own death. As you can realize, a continuous deforestation will bring an end to human species. We are losing 8 acres of forest every minute.
God.
Every minute. 1 acre of land, I explained that in the United States, 1 football ground. So 8 such football ground is becoming barren. No plants left. We are eating that away. I would like to mention about David Attenborough, who is now getting recommendation from Nobel Prize. Of course, I signed that as well, because I listened to David Attenborough at BITM, Birla Industrial and Technological Museum from their school, Calcutta, which is a great school. As you see, my colleagues are here in the front, friends are here. So BITM, we 4 students were selected. We were lucky to come over here and watching the episodes, The Planet Earth, The Ascent of Man, from David Attenborough. That changed my life. I was absorbed. Now I not only watch that again and again, there is a series go on TV, I try to watch that Planet Earth. And you can learn a lot. You don't have to read biology textbook if you watch that, a lot. And he is describing, recently he mentioned, humans are the only species that disrupt the balance of nature and the cycle of life. We know that and we'll see that. Okay? So that's what is happening. Unfortunately, we are the species, as you know, our Latin name, Homo sapiens. We are bringing our own end by destroying the forest, by killing animals. So, one picture here from Amarillo Globe News covering our research about how the pollen counts and all other particulate matters going up and medical danger. The next one is a very interesting one, that they think that the dinosaurs extinct because of bad air quality, which started with production of pollen. And I was fortunate to meet with Dr. T. Rai Chaudhuri at Indian Statistical Institute, world-renowned geologist who discovered the Barappasaurus stegori, that's a dinosaur from the southern part of India. And he was telling me a number of pollutants and pollen which are dangerous for the livestock, those were recovered from the fossil of dinosaurs, which means probably the dinosaurs extinct because of bad air quality and a high number of obnoxious pollen. Everybody is concerned about COVID today. I know that we should try to protect ourselves. Trying to discuss a little more how we pollute our system, and we are bringing that RNA virus. Those who are students, I can tell you there are DNA virus and RNA viruses based on the nucleic acids. If it was DNA virus, DNA is more stable, right? And that is our blueprint of life, so that is more stable. But RNA is single-stranded RNA, as we read, that is more flexible. It can change itself very fast. We call it mutation in the genome. Think of like the airfare is going up, so we try to induce some mutation in ourselves and we start flying. Can we do that? No. Not in coming millions of years. It's not possible because our system is complex. But think of this coronavirus, which is an RNA virus. And that RNA virus with a single strand, with the sequences, it can change, it mutates so
Very
fast.
rapidly.
One strain after another strain is coming and killing us. Why this RNA virus mutates so many times? Answer to that, the research paper in PNA's Proceeding of National Academy of Sciences came out, and RNA polymerase ribozyme that synthesizes its own ancestor. Ribozyme, little bit story information for the students. Thomas Keck, 1982, University of Colorado Boulder, discovered that RNA can catalyze itself. Like RNA is working as an enzyme. All of you know enzyme. For our digestion, we need enzyme, right? That changes the molecule. It can work as enzyme. It can change itself. DNA cannot. That is the dangerous aspect of this virus. Another paper, ribozymes and riboswitches, modulation of RNA function by small molecules. That National Institute of Health publication. So, why is that happening? Why did we get this molecule? There are lots of theories. I heard Dr. Sanjay Gupta taking interview at CNN and talking about what we should not do. We should not kill the wild animals. Poultry animals are okay. Poultry eggs are okay. We should not kill a wild animal and eat that, because what will happen, you can get the virus transmitted. Just like HIV, it happened. There are lots of theories. Just like mad cow disease, it happened. So we need to conscious about what we are eating, because we are also part of the living system. Any virus transmitted to us, that can kill, that can destroy our whole race. The next focus I'm bringing here is PM 2.5. Dr. Banerjee worked over there and he got some data from the city of Howrah, and very interesting thesis he had. And so our biggest problem with air pollution, let me explain a little more to the students exactly what is PM 2.5. It is particulate matter 2.5 micron. 1 micron is 1,000th of a millimeter. 1 millimeter everybody knows, right? The centimeter scale, you have the millimeter. You divide that 1,000, that is 1 micron. So 2.5 micron particulate matter, back 2010, first time scientists correlated the presence of this tiny little 2.5 micron particulate matter with our life. They figured out 7 people dying in the world, 1 is dying because of this PM 2.5 pollution. I will show you that. And WHO air pollution, it reports, WHO reports that it kills 7 million people every year. That brought our interest about PM 2.5. That's how it appears, like, as you know, it's just like a dot under microscope. And they can be of various nature, various types, chemicals, dust particles, soil, everything. But if it is a dangerous chemical, if it enters through our nostril, it goes to our lungs and residing on the lung tissue, or after that through the bloodstream, via bloodstream, it can go to the soft tissues anywhere like kidney, pancreas, you name it, and it's residing over there, controlling the gene expression, can cause cancer. So that's one major aspect we have. PM 2.5 is increasing, and out of the 10 most polluted cities in the United States, it's in Los Angeles. You see the situation. It's one of the most polluted cities, the most polluted city. The second one is Houston in Texas. All of you know about Delhi, and it was reported even the New York Times, November 4, 2016. 1,800 schools were closed, and people could not see because of smog and fog. And we had discussion on that as well. The particle pollution kills 1 out of 7 people in the world. WHO report. This is Dr. P. Banerjee. I mentioned that he was over there. The next part, we have brief time, otherwise I could lecture for 6 hours. It's not possible. Everybody will become impatient. Global warming, that's a big issue. Many of the political leaders denied that there is any global warming or not. We, the scientists, we are not just looking at that in various aspects. Like the flowers are coming out, the trees are blooming earlier all over the world. It's not in India, China, or Bangladesh, or any other cities, or United States, but all over the world. When I presented the concept, like we were finding in United States, like in Texas, in various places, early flowering occurring, and then there are many hands came out in World Allergy Congress. One director of Science Institute from Russia at that time, she raised the hand and said, we have, the same thing is happening and everything. He said, yes, we are seeing all over the world. Accumulation of greenhouse gases, we have 2 types of main types, greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide is one, the other one is CH4 methane, all of you know. That's increasing so much. We are burning fossil fuel, and it is forming a layer surrounding the surface of Earth. Think about a jacket is particularly putting over there, then what is going to happen? So global warming is a steady increase of the average global temperature due to the following reasons, of course, greenhouse gases, and the effects. Why are we concerned about global warming? Because you can see loss of cold-loving species. Already it started. Polar bear, they're getting extinct. Melting of polar ice caps, increase in sea level, continental flooding. It's very painful to watch sometimes some of the video clips from Discovery Channel showing that those lovable polar bears, they're getting drowned. They move from one place to another place for catching seals. That's in their diet, right? So what started happening, by the time they're coming back to their habitat, original habitat, it started melting and they're drowned. Melting of polar ice cap, It is very sensitive, just like David Attenborough mentioned. The art is very sensitive. The major concept, just like as you were talking about one planet, one earth, biologists believe that it's a complete living system, and that is getting interacted with all kinds of human activities. Polar ice cap is melting. Many of the scientists are using $5 million equipment to sense that melting started 10 meters below of the ice, already started, and big chunk of that was broken, and they're describing in this way, it is just like the size of Washington DC, and that big chunk of ice blocked the penguins, killing 1 million penguins because they could not get food. They got covered and they died. Increasing sea level, and there are again lots of video clips, Discovery Channel showing over there, just like one was I could understand Bengali. They were taking the interview of a lady from Bangladesh, and she was telling, my house was there, now we moved here, next year I have to move again maybe half a kilometer north because the rest portion is in the sea level. Inside, it's sea is taking off, over there. From 1971, scientist was working at Louisiana State University. In a conference, he was showing almost 40 miles of a distance, big land in Louisiana, it is now under the sea. And sea level is increasing, we can see with the picture, satellite images showing the islands are going, 2 islands were drowned. And they have warned, scientists are giving warning, and we are not safe, even in Kolkata. Bangkok, the city in Thailand, part of Florida, part of California, those will be under ocean. And time, it is just matter of time, that's what they're telling. Continental flooding. There is a movie called Day After Tomorrow. If you did not watch, you can watch it again. It's not happening in the coming July or August. It will take a little more time. But at one point, it will start happening. That's what the scientists are giving warning. I already mentioned about greenhouse gases. There are lots of international treaties to reduce the greenhouse gases. But as we were discussing, the unfortunate part with science and politics that don't go very well. Methane also coming out as the exhaust from many of the industries. Global warming started, there is a steep increase in temperature. Temperature increased in last century with industrialization, global industrialization, more and more obnoxious gases we are producing, and that is destroying our earth. So what I was trying to tell about the global warming, think of you put a jacket, so those who are talking, I'll give you my jacket, okay? And I'll put you outside in hot temperature and see how would you feel. Okay, what will happen to you? You start sweating, you will feel bad. That's what is happening to the planet Earth. Why is that happening? That's the jacket. In this diagram, you can see the jacket formed with the carbon dioxide and CH4 and many other gases. They are forming a layer. Why carbon dioxide is sitting over there? Anybody, any chemistry student here? You want to explain why? If you produce some carbon dioxide, what will happen? In our chemistry lab in high school, it was fun to produce the gas, carbon dioxide, and to collect. All you need a little glass beaker, and you take this, and this is your tube from where it is coming with the reaction, you hold it, and your beaker will be filled up with carbon dioxide. Why is that? Because it is very heavy. 2.5 times heavier than air.
Yeah.
So what is happening, that carbon dioxide forming a layer and methane, that forming a layer, and it is staying over there. You cannot remove the jacket. So earth is becoming, so think about that. Sunlight can penetrate it because it is transparent. It is going to the earth, making it warmer. When it is trying to dissipate the heat, instead of going out, it's coming back again and again, making
Because of
our
the jacket,
surface
huh?
warmer. And Delhi's pollution, I already mentioned about, it's a major problem. I was discussing with some of the US biologists as well. The major problem is there. The problem is there with our habit, with our process of agriculture. All of you know the farmers, they take out the residues after harvesting, they put the residues and burn those residues, and that fume and smoke and particulate matter, everything is coming from other state, entering into Delhi. Another one is after celebration of Diwali, you see that? Lots of fireworks that is producing lots of smoke, and that smoke actually is getting on the surface. So that's another problem we have. I had been to China and they were telling don't go outside, but we had to when we went to visit the Great Wall of China. As soon as Dr. Bennett, my research colleague, when he went out of the car, he started coughing instantly. We had two Reuters, journalists. They were telling, we call that as Beijing cough. People coming from other side, other part of the world, from visiting China. So everyone was wearing the mask at the time, and there was no COVID. But they were wearing masks, everybody who was cycling and everything, because you cannot breathe normally. Think of the pollution level in Beijing. So air pollution, basically what we call aerosols, because of human activities. We burn fossil fuel, power plants, industry, smelting, all the activities that is making the air dirtier. And you will see in the coming slides, why are we concerned so much? Why are we talking about PM 2.5? Why are we talking about fresh air? Because it starts with allergies, and you'll be surprised to know, all of you ate your breakfast, now you will have lunch after that, how much energy you will be getting from your food. Can you believe we get our energy, 56% of the energy from the air we breathe? So, the air is important for our life. And there are many reactions, as you can see, it's listed. The allergies people suffer from, sometimes they don't even realize, and a high number of people die every year from the allergies. These are pollen grains analyzed in our laboratory. They appear very nice, aren't they? Beautiful. But imagine when they enter into your nostril and these spikes, they start tickling in your nose, you start sneezing instantly, and you may have runny nose as well. Just now, as I mentioned, asthma and allergy strikes 1 out of 5 Americans. Now, few of the local newspapers, those who can read Bengali, you can see the information. Bish Bayu Nana Utso Arale, you can read PM 2.5 rate, how it is going, all these, I'm not going in detail. Then look at Bishe Palla Diyo Dillikeyo, প্রস্তর লৌহ তাম্রযুগ পেরিয়ে আমরা প্রবেশ করেছি প্লাস্টিক যুগে. We entered into plastic era. Everything is in plastic. You look at, without plastic we cannot survive. Everything is made of plastic. You know what will result? I can still hear some noise. I will bring you here and you have to describe my slides. Can you do that? That happened to me in China. My lecture took 2.5 years. Do you know why? 2.5 hours. Why is that? Because they translated all of my slides in Chinese. And there was one interpreter that I speak one sentence and then she had to translate in Chinese and it's coming back again. So it took long time, going back. So plastic era, look, read this. সমুদ্র বিজ্ঞানীরা এখন মনে করছেন যে 2050 সালের মধ্যে সমুদ্রে মাছের চেয়েও অনেক বেশি প্লাস্টিক থাকবে। দূষণের কারণে মৃত্যুতে বিশ্বে শীর্ষে ভারত, প্রতি বছর প্রাণ হারাচ্ছেন 24 লক্ষ লোক। I'm going to talk about that more in the coming slide when it comes, but I'm bringing the attention on silent spring. Scientists, researchers, journalists give you warning. We don't listen. We don't listen to them, and that's what happens after effect. I think in master's degree research, I had DDT, looking at effect of DDT on cell and chromosome. And we found, and still now, another researcher is working in my lab, DDT is one chemical that is a pesticide that was developed by human being that almost destroyed everything. And in this book, why spring was silent? Because Rachel Carson, when published this book in 1960s, she is describing the spring was silent. The spring was silent in United States, Canada, and in adjacent countries because DDT got spreaded everywhere and the insects died. Those dead insects were ready food for the birds. They ate the insect and they died. Now the present day world, even after banning of DDT, we still have somewhere between 0.01 parts per million ppm to 8 ppm DDT in our adipose tissue in our belly.
Everywhere.
In the border area of United States and Mexico, they sell the fruits. 44% those are contaminated with DDT. So, Rachel Carson described it, and we consider this is one of the most debatable book. Debatable because it brought a debate, and then first time EPA was established, Environmental Protection Agency, United States. And then that, the government was forced to ban DDT over there. It was banned, but already the harm is done. I have seen a picture, and if you type in Google nowadays, you can find it. A mosquito is walking on DDT. So they already developed the gene to survive on DDT. This is one, as I mentioned, our job is to raise your voice all the time, telling to the people, doesn't matter where you are living, tell the people that you are doing wrong. It will bring an end to us. And it happened, as you can see, it was reported in July 10, 1997 by one of my students, Rebecca Rodriguez. She was in my biology class. That's why even if you are a journalist, we have many journalists here, you need to know biology. She was in my class at UNT in 1995. And she came to take an interview and she asked me, Dr. Ghosh, do you know, we are having a radioisotope plant in Denton, Texas. I said, no, I don't know about it. And she told me, you taught us about what the radioisotopes could do. They can cause chromosome breakage, and generation after generation, you will have babies will born with birth defect. People will have very high number of cancer. I can see my good friend, Dr. Shomen Mitra is nodding his head, so he is supporting my idea. So anyway, so what it tells here, but Dr. Nabarun Ghosh, a biology professor at University of North Texas, says plant means factory like these should be at least 40 to 50 miles away from any urban area. The effects of radioisotopes on the human body are unclear, etc. So what they started, remember I was teaching over there, but I was working on my second PhD. So I started having some kind of threat phone call at my office. You don't have to poke your nose. You are not even a US citizen. I said, I don't care. Then I said, leave the country. I said, I can leave. I don't have any problem. I already have a PhD from India, so I'll survive. So, but the good thing about that, the city meeting we had in the hall, that time Dean, Dr. Rolly Schaefer, he supported many of my professors over there. Dr. Ronald Vela, who was president of Microbiology Association, he supported the idea. Yes, Dr. Ghosh is right. And they interviewed over there as well. And guess what happened? The plant never was built. So that's your job as a journalist, bringing that attention to the public. This is going to be wrong. And when public is furious, you know what happens. So again, going back to the stepwise process, the Barker sport track, like people ask me, how can you catch the air? Can you catch the air and see what is there? No. You need a machine. This machine is from UK, London, we got it. This is called Barker volumetric sport track. As you analyze, you can see on the slide exactly what is there on the slide, in your air. And guess what? And all these things are in our air, as you see. This is scanning electron micrograph of those pollen grains. But the interesting finding I'm going to talk about, just a few seconds. You know the wildfire. In California, there are wildfire. Thousands of lands got burned. And now from California, think of Texas, far away, we are tracking those burnt residues, insects, dead insects. All these are coming in the Barker sport track. So very interesting. Again, there is a very high correlation with the number of aeroallergen in the air and number of patients visiting the clinic. Now I'm trying to bring some solution. All these gloomy discussion, like we have the bad things, but we need to know the positive things about modern biotechnology. If we can use it properly, you just look at people could not even imagine in less than a year you'll have a vaccine against a virus, and that was possible. Thousands of scientists worked over there to develop the vaccine. In exactly the same way, we can definitely find the solutions of this major problem we are seeing. Reforestation. We were in the DNES, Department of Non-Conventional Energy Sources project with Professor Chatterjee. We worked on that, and I'm going to show you some of the slides over there. You can manipulate the DNA. And so I'm just bringing you for the students that central dogma. What happens? That's our nucleus. So what are we? Students get frustrated in my cytotechnology class when I tell them, you are nothing but bunch of cells. You have some name, you have identity, you have a social security number, but you are a bunch of cells. And those cells are functioning in different way in our body, right? And we have close to 100 trillion cells in our body. One start malfunctioning, that's the most unfortunate and depressing part. One start malfunctioning, we can develop cancer. So that's a single cell. You have blueprint DNA in the nucleus that is basically producing, after transcription, it's producing the mRNA or messenger RNA that comes out from the nucleus by translation. It is coding the message for protein. I mention it because we call it central dogma. In medicine, in any part, when we look at, this is the most important part. People develop cancer, people have Alzheimer's, people have all other types of anomalies and disturbances, medical ailments. All these are because of change in central dogma, change in DNA structure. So translation is working like this, as you can see. The DNA sequence is synthesizing mRNA with a codon, which we call genetic code. It's producing the proteins, which is the chain of amino acids. you needed this introduction before I could talk more about. This is in the research laboratory. I'm working with my research students. Plasmid, that's what we have to understand. Unique thing in bacteria, all of you know about bacteria, right? They normally just not can cause diseases, but they have this unique structure that can basically carry some genes. I can see who is talking. The young lady over there, do you have any question? You can ask me. Or otherwise, please leave the hall. I request you to leave the hall. You can chat outside. I always tell my students, you have the university, cafeteria. You can go over there, have some drink and chat. You don't have to be here in the boring lecture of Dr. Ghosh. Okay, so let's get back. Bacterial DNA is the genome for the bacterium, but some, not all. Some of the bacterial cell, they have this ring-like structure, like marriage ring, you get that kind of ring-like structure. And that is a unique one. That is making everything for bacterial cell. I delivered a lecture for antibiotic resistance bacteria, which is increasing all over the world. And that is basically, they can synthesize antibiotic resistance gene in this plasmid and change our life. We cannot fight. I'll finish up. I know, you're waiting for lunch. So, this plasmid is basically can carry the gene. It is a ring-like structure, covalently bond, circular DNA. So now, if you can put something here by genetic engineering, your bacteria can synthesize some medicine, right? Like insulin. First time Nobel Prize in this area was awarded 1982 to the Genentech scientists in San Francisco, California. They developed the bacteria, E. coli, made them to produce insulin by cloning human insulin gene and transferred it here. And bacteria started producing insulin, which saved the lives of billions. So, this cutting and rejoining, it's a complicated process, but you can change. How can you change? Yeast cells, the regular yeast you heard about, they use for baking and brewing. Also yeast infection, we know about that. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, the only eukaryotic cell that can retain this plasmid called 2-mu plasmid. And we worked on that by cutting and rejoining the DNA sequences in our laboratory. We changed them, and that's the research paper we published. How you can change your environment. Dr. Mark Olsen from MIT joined to our group, and we worked, and we found that if you can cut and rejoin the sequences, then you can make the things which are causing bad smell, like picresol, paracresol is one. You can destroy it. And that is possible. It was done earlier, long times back, mid-90s by Professor A.M. Chakraborty. First time, he developed that to prevent the Gulf pollution. Okay, so he developed that in that way. We also developed in this way, and we have many other strains developed, the plasmid, which will target one compound and reduce the pollution. That's one. Using the nanotechnology, you can develop air purifier, which we have been working, and we have been looking at assessing that with different types of air quality meters. And we found the gradual reduction of PM 2.5. At least indoor, you can make your air much better. How long you spend indoor? 85% of a person working, we spend indoor. Nowadays more with the COVID and everything, 85% of your time. So this is Dr. A.D. Caraway, who analyzed that it can reduce the volatile organic compounds. 10 obnoxious volatile organic compounds were reduced by using the nanotechnology I mentioned about. And these are things collected from the air of a restaurant. You'll stop eating in a restaurant. So those were found in a restaurant in Amarillo, and one of my researchers, she found it over there. We also tried to reduce MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. Many of my physician friends in Amarillo, they mentioned, Dr. Ghosh, do you know MRSA is very much challenging. After surgery, they're getting that infection coming back. And we found this student, Cynthia Pratt, many times she also was there in the TV program. Now she is teaching. But she was doing the research jointly with me and BSA Hospital, and she found how we can reduce that MRSA. And it can be reduced and it can be healed. Look at the number here. Here it's increasing, where it got stopped here after 4 colonies developed. Another major aspect I just mentioned, there will be more plastic in our oceans than fish by 2050. Think of that. That's a kind of frightening news. And we have the plastic, and the scary part, as we are eating, humans eat over 40 pounds of plastic in their lifetime. Did you ever realize that? You are eating a burger, a sandwich, pizza, KFC nowadays, very much, popular here. All the bad food from America, right? Dr. Banerjee can tell more about all the bad food from America just came over here. One of the US graduated doctor was telling me, you should not copy. Anyway, so nowadays in the fiber, in the crops, you have the microplastics entering into the fiber, the food fibers we are consuming. Did you ever think about that? Nanoplastic material we are consuming every day. I don't want to spoil your lunch. It's very pathetic condition with the marine animals. You see how they get entangled with plastic and they're dying. Good thing, there are many, many things happening. Last year I joined to a Zoom conference from southern part of India. Indian scientists are doing great job. They discovered these edible utensils that you can eat, and then edible utensils you can eat after using. Just eat that. There is one type of bottle they started in London, UK. You drink your water and then start eating don't try, this is plastic. So you can eat that because they developed that from corn fiber. We need that kind of stuff. Change plastic. Another of my students, I'm coming to that, Chipko movement. I was talking about that while coming. Chipko movement, one of the greatest movements here in India. In UP 1973, women encircled a tree to save them. Because without tree we cannot survive. It's a simple thing. You don't have to have big degrees in biology. Without the tree we cannot survive. In India, trees, many of the trees, think about Ficus bengalensis. Well, I shouldn't use Latin name. Ashwatha. Ashwatha. You cannot cut them. We worship them. Long times back, our forefathers realized the importance of those plants. Osimum sanctum, tulsi. You can get cured from hundreds of cough-related ailments if you can use that properly. So there are hundreds of evidences. Without tree, we cannot survive. They realize that. We should realize as a civilized, learned people. Otherwise, we should feel ashamed. So as I mentioned, tissue culture and clonal propagation, that's in our hand in biotechnology. We started the work in Dr. Chatterjee's lab. There are various ways we picked up different types of trees. After gamma radiation mutation, we developed Albizia falcateria, and that strain I used at University of North Texas that broke the greenhouse and still growing, and they had to transfer them to Florida. So high yielding species, more scientists need to work on that, distribute just like this, encourage the kids, because they are the future of life. They need to understand without trees, without plants, we cannot survive. We should make, and I'm going to talk about that, public awareness, which they are doing. BITM is doing a great job in doing that. Law enforcement, you chop down a tree, you will be in prison for 5 years. 40,000 tigers were there in India back 1940s. 1972, 4,000 only. Then later it was only 2,000. Now, fortunately, it got increased. Number is increasing because people know if you kill, well, let the tiger eat you, because if you kill the tiger, you'll be in prison. Not like that, but they are doing a great job. One of my research students, she is now a scientist, working in my tissue culture lab. I put this publication because you can see my name, Dr. Don Smith's name, A.B. Das, one of my senior colleague friend, and Professor Chatterjee. We worked together to develop from the leaf to the plant. It was published in international journals telling all you need few leaves from a tree. Then you can produce hundreds and thousands of seedlings like that. And you can conserve the species, bring back the forest. Okay, with that, I would mention that you need to love, they need your love. All the creatures, they are lovable. Even the colorful spiders, look at them. Honeybees, without them, we cannot eat anything. We won't survive. All the fruits, mango, who does not love mango? Do you know how it is being pollinated? There in United States, almond, which is very costly, that's also by honeybees pollination. And all the creatures are lovable. We need to love them, we need to protect them, we need to conserve. So as I mentioned, the reduction rate you have to reduce the deforestation rate by law enforcement, improving the air quality by implementation of proper strategies and law enforcement. It is necessary to assess the safety measures of the factories. The last one, new light came in the area of plastic pollution. One of my students, Liana De Leon, she is working with Aspergillus tuberculosis that can digest away plastic.
Very good.
So the last few words, reduce your, say after using the plastic bottle, please recycle them. We need to recycle. Okay? Reduce, reuse whenever possible, and recycle. That's the take-home message. I am giving my thanks to my researchers. Here, Dr. P. Banerjee is here, and that's a picture from graduation. There are many of my research group and members from USDA, and I acknowledge the group in a conference. We went for presentation, and thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your patient hearing. If you have any questions, you can ask.
What a lecture we are really enriched, which is found just knowledge. So Sarah has given us the consent to ask 3 minutes to ask some questions. If you have any questions, please raise your hand.
Sir, I do have a couple of questions to ask.
Sure, go ahead.
Sir, the first one is it the greenhouse gases affecting or causing the phenomenon of early flowering?
To some extent, it's right. See, everything is related so much. You do little bit things over there, okay? You do some mistake because, just giving you the example, before I started working at Birla College of Medicine, because you are using dangerous things, you need to learn the safety, okay, the safety. So 3 months, radio safety, chemical safety, everything I had to learn before I started working. Wuhan laboratory in China, they lacked it. That put in, I'm not asking any nation or anything, wherever it came. So there are 2 sources. all the biologists, researchers from the world, they found that could be the lack of safety measures, accident with the virus that changed our life, that killed so many people. Safety measures, that's one thing. Second thing could be the wildlife market from where it could come. And if you check the video, it's just gross. So what I'm trying to say, it's so much related. You do one wrong thing. I mentioned about RNA virus over there. Same thing here. Carbon dioxide, you put more and more. It's covering, yeah, I'm coming to your question. As you cover the planet Earth, then what's happening? You get more, it's warmer. Warmer means what? More photosynthesis. So the life, our life, plant's life, we have circadian rhythm. We could not work for first few days, we are sleeping because that takes us time, now it's sleeping time. Same thing for the plants. They flower in a particular time. Even in the books you will find during what time this tree will flower, it's fixed. Now it's not fixed anymore. Early flowering, it's all over the world. It's happening because of the fact, global warming. More temperature, more flowering, more pollen, more allergy.
So
Go
sir,
ahead.
everything is correlated over here,
Everything
just
is
like our cells.
tiniest, minutest thing is correlated. Think of Alzheimer's. The tiny little
And
Golgi
sir, in
bodies
case
can
of cells too, like one starts to malfunction, then our total body
Yes.
system will be just breaking down, you know.
Exactly, you are right, yes.
And sir, one more question.
Okay, sure,
That
go
is
ahead.
how DDT spread.
How does, okay, DDT, that's a very good question. I remember our grandma used to wash the wheat grains, those were covered with white powders. 5-year-old kid would not know. As a scientist, I know that powder was so dangerous. It was even used for preserving the crops. That was dichlorodiphenyl trichloroethane, what we call DDT. That was first time produced by United States. And for controlling the pesticides and killing the mosquitoes. See, all the mosquitoes are gone? No. Because they developed DDT resistant gene. That's how DDT started getting spreaded in the crops. They found, wow, it's so unique. Spread it, insects will die, we have more crops.
And so even you mentioned that mosquitoes have started walking on people.
Yes, it's in the journal, it's published. You can find in Google searches. They do. Cockroaches do. I'm just giving you example since you asked the question. Cockroaches, they used to make some trap in the United States, they call it motel, roach motel. So the roaches will go inside and will die, get trapped. But the roaches developed a gene for aversion or detest of the sugar with which they were trapping. So that's our system. They can mutate. Look at this simple one strand of RNA changed our life. Coronavirus. Go ahead.
Made us sick for 3 to 2 years.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. That was
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
You said that fossils were a place where pollen grains and other air pollutants were found, which were the result of some deaths of dinosaurs. But is it the only one which was found, or
No, there are 9 theories. I used to speak for All India Radio Calcutta in Science Corner, and basically Professor Chatterjee put me over there. And that time they were paying like 50 rupees earlier, then 100 rupees. So the 100 rupees was a lot in 80s. So what I'm trying to say, there are 9 theories, meteorite theories there. This is one of the theories. And scientists discover many things. What I believe, there are many causes. Just maybe one place dinosaurs died because of meteorite, other place like southern part of India, as T.K. Rai Chaudhary and his colleagues at ISI worked on. And so basically, those dinosaurs died because of pollen allergy. Yes, go ahead.
multiple reasons, right?
Multiple reasons, yes.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Sir, if the CH4, that means methane,
Methane.
and the CO2 gets trapped in our atmosphere, then our climate will also turn like that of Venus. And we
It
get
is
that.
changing, could be, as he brought the question of dinosaur. We don't want to be fossilized, and later some other creatures, when they come, they dig up the fossil and say, this stupid creature died, they brought their own death, and they become fossilized. Could happen, yes, nobody can tell. It
Thank
can
you.
change like Venus,
Thank
yes.
you, sir. I think that's only one or maybe two questions, not more than, please. All the students will be getting the advantage first. You, who are you? Fight first. So first, anyone.
Sir, what is the difference between the smog and the fog?
When there is smoke, basically those are different types of gases. You can have sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide, and many other, ammonia, and many other things which are coming. And mostly in bigger cities from the car exhaust, they can mix together and forming the smog, that's a mixing with smoke. When the smoke is not there, but it's generated, it's because of reaction, it's maybe in some villages also, you can see fogs developing during the cold weather, like winter. It comes down to the, to the soil level, and they are getting over there.
Sir, one request. Some questions are coming from the guardians. May you take them?
Yeah, sure, why not?
But before
I will
that,
answer
one student,
to
please.
any other questions, please. Go ahead.
Sir, I would like to ask that you said there are many deaths caused due to the pollution, right? And at
Yes.
some point, we all know that the main reason is population explosion. So, as many people are dying, then shouldn't eventually there be a time that population is decreased and the balance of nature will eventually come back like before?
Could be, you are right. I mean, that
Yes.
situation is so sensitive. We don't want to discuss on that, but there are many theories. Okay, one is called Gaia theory. It's maintaining its own balance. When the number is going very high, then it is controlled. So we have to have self-control. That's one thing, as you realize, and you have to reduce industrialization. Or I'm not telling that production, but as I mentioned in my talk, safety measures to be taken so that we can maintain our good health and number.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, this is about if you can put some light how we can evade this mutation, because today is the age of carcinoma. Is there any light or any silver line that we can see right now?
I was teaching cancer biology before coming here in my cytotechnology class. Most frustrating situation about mutation. Dr. Bart Vogelstein, if you Google search, you will find one of the well-known cancer biologists in the United States. He wrote a paper. The title of the paper was, "You have bad luck, that's why you got cancer." He was sued by many of the scientists, and they did not like, even different countries in journals, that he was criticized, because that's really frustrating, but that is so true. We are so fragile in terms of mutation. We cannot, there is nothing we can stop. Only, that's why I was telling, we can just follow healthy habits, not just eating anything. Bat is not regular diet for human being. Wild cats are not regular diet for human being. You grow animals, you have the poultry, and then you can eat. Those we can maintain, but there is no way we can stop mutation. It's happening all the time. It is being controlled by the nature. It's being controlled by RNA, as I mentioned. The ribozyme, automatically it's doing that. All we can maintain the healthy habits, and that's all. It's not in our hand.
Actually, the cause of the mutation is not getting, actually, we are not knowing what is the cause of, because I had my father, I seen my father dying, who is non-smoker, non-drinker, but other fellows who are drinking and smoking, they are having longer life and not having any mutation. So that
I would request my knowledgeable friend Dr. Somendranath Mitra to answer to that question, why a person who is smoking. Just before you answer, I'm just getting you to one interesting thing. a person, 103-year-old lawyer, he practiced that time when the TV interview they're taking maybe 5 years back. 103-year-old lawyer practices 2 hours every day, not more. He doesn't need. He works every day 2 hours. And he smokes. And he smokes the big cigars. I'm not encouraging smoking, okay? So he was telling on the TV, I have been smoking for 70 years and I'm alive, 103 years. That does not encourage anybody to smoke. Human body is such a unique machine. Why and how you will survive and why a healthy person will die. A 30-year-old is dying, whereas 90-year-old is surviving. Please transfer the mouthpiece to Dr. Mitra, and I'll request him to answer to that question.
Yes, sir.
Thing is, both have the contributory role. The oncogene is the most important thing. We have, many of us have the oncogene in our body, which plays a role, and gene environment interaction. Environmental pollution play the role of a triggering factor. So if I have the oncogene in my body and if I smoke, that triggers the factor.
That triggers the
Exactly.
It's very difficult to say which one is a bad omen.
Which one is bad or good. So basically P53 gene, that's one gene that controls most of the types of cancer. And Dr. Banerjee can add more.
Hello. So in a given case, you cannot say whether a given case will be transformed into cancer or not, because it has been seen that by study, that the long-term study, the odds ratio and also confidence level interval is very high to smoke. So that is the thing, that is the data you have to have. But in a given case, you cannot say if you smoke, there will be cancer, or that this is statistical data. Only they have mentioned that data. They have calculated data that is called odds ratio or confidence interval. That odds ratio is very high if you smoke. That's the chance of cancer.
Thank you, Dr. Banerjee.
Thank you, sir. I think that one question, maybe the last, or he is there. Only 2 questions.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have a question that as we have all entered in the age of mobile phones and cell phones, what we say, and the entire so-called civilized society is dependent on data, internet, and mobile calls.
Right.
Sir, with this there is a huge increase of cellular sites, or what they say BTS sites and towers. Sir, there is an understanding, particularly in the rural areas, that due to the increase of these towers, there is a huge radiation, and that has an effect, negative effect on the environment. And we don't see sparrows, what we used to see earlier, in the last 2 decades and all. It has reduced. Hens are possibly giving a small amount of eggs. Cow, they are not giving milk, and there are a lot of other, physical effects. So is this true? Are these radiations really hampering us or harming us? This I want to know, sir.
Very true, and you will find hundreds of scientific journals, they're publishing their effect. They're using laboratory animals, but we became just laboratory animals now. And what is happening, like when you have some kind of radiation, definitely it is working as a physical mutagen. And that's why you have, as you said, sparrow, what we call chorai paki here, they have all over the world, they got reduced in number. Reduced number of birds. There are 28 species of birds got extinct. And these mobile towers are definitely, they are no good for human health. So, but as I mentioned, for industrialization, how many of you can survive without the cell phone nowadays? Even in dream, you are using your cell phone to record your dream nowadays, right? So, we have to do something definitely. It just only few years, I would say 15 years, mobile phone to 20 years, we have been developing. So we have to find, but human being, one such smart species, they can do something, they can find the safer way than mobile tower. Also answering to another question, whether the cell phone when you are using, whether it can cause brain tumor. There are quite a few number of research papers that showing there is a very minute percentage people got affected, but they are telling after using, either you use it from a distance or after using, don't use it for long term and don't keep it close to your head. When you are putting the charging the mobile, do it far away on a table or somewhere far away from you. Don't keep it close to your body. That's it. Thank you.
Sir, I am working in Indian Railways. Sir, in our trains, you have seen the garbage packets, polythene garbage packets.
Right.
We are using biodegradable plastic bags. What is this and what is its function?
Okay, so there are two different types of things, biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Non-biodegradable, just like plastics, it takes thousands of years to degrade into other types of elements. Non-biodegradable ones, they can last for a long time. Biodegradable ones, like your peeling from your orange